All right. We got the T-Rockets, Holy Ghost Riders, and Sister, what's your name again? And Sister Rachel from Oildale. She rolled her eyes. All right, so we're talking about taking your bus ministry to the next level. Do we have bus captains? Do we have a bus director? You guys, bus director? He kind of. That's a yes. That's a yes. So you're the bus director, T-Rockets. Very cool. All right, and all right. So we're going to talk about taking your bus ministry to the next level. So I believe in bus ministry, as you guys already know, as we're talking about. Right here, I'm going to read this part. It says, Jesus said, to suffer not for these children to come unto me. We are also instructed not to offend the little ones. We never know who we're picking up in our bus ministry, guys. It could be the next evangelist. It could be the next pastor. It could be the next pastor's wife, Sunday school teacher, or youth leader. You just never know. I know I said in the last session we had Alder Von Morton was a bus kid. It's you just never know who you're going to be picking up. We need to help to develop these kids to what God has planned for them. One of the main things when it comes to taking our kids to the next level. So we're going to start talking beyond. We've already outreached, okay? We already have kids on our bus. We already have a bus ministry that's rolling. We already have vehicles. We have the T-shirts done already. We have the wraps done to our vehicles. We have it all going, okay? But we want to go further, okay? We want to go deeper. Rather that's expanding, having more vehicles, recruiting, getting more bus drivers, getting more bus workers, developing captains and becoming leaders for the routes. These are all things we're going to have to work on. We try to meet, right now we're trying to shoot for quarterly to meet with our bus captains. So our bus captains have about 2 captains per route. We have, right now for this location, we do ours by colors. So we have the orange route, which goes to San Bernardino. We have the red route, which goes to Colton. We have the green route, which goes to Fontana, Rialto area. And then we have the blue route, which goes to Bloomington. And then our daughter work, they've adopted our yellow route, which goes to San Bernardino. Just because of where they're located, the churches, it was much more effective for them to pick them up and bring them to their church instead. So, and that transition was a task on its own, but it worked very well. It's just you got to work with wisdom. Because last thing you want to do is feel like we don't want you no more. We want you to go there. So that was done with wisdom, and it's gone very, very well. So you already have your bus ministry rolling. You got everything going on. So with us meeting, we try to meet once a quarter with our bus captains, and that meeting starts off with simply hey, tell me what's going well. What are you struggling with? Tell me your heartaches and pains. I try to really just let them speak. One thing I learned from your guys' podcast actually is called the HIPPO, right? It's like the highest influence paid person's opinion, right? Method. So when I sit there, this is a real good thing for you to remember. Is just sit there and let your bus workers talk. Let them talk about. Don't even give input on something till the meeting is almost over. Because you notice the moment you're like, yeah, that's great, let's do that. Everyone in the room is going to be like, yep, he said it, we're all going to do it, So I like to, when it comes to expanding my team and making them into a better leader, because I need them to be the best, because I can't be on every single route. I need to know when that route goes out, it's going to be safe, they're going to be effective, and there's not going to be any crazy nonsense going on there. I want to make sure that they're developed. So we try to do these meetings and just being transparent with you guys. There was a time where we weren't meeting as often, and there was a lot of problems that came out of that. So I do believe in trying to do the quarterly meetings because it does keep everyone as a whole together. So as you develop these leaders, my plan is, or my goal behind it is that when I develop a great bus captain that could lead their route, they're going to develop great bus workers that work under them. So I try to tell the captains, just because you're a captain does not mean you have to do everything. You don't have to make sure there's balloons, there's a snack. You don't need to make sure that there's outreach, that you're there every single Saturday. You don't need to. It's about developing a team that's under you. You as a leader, you're gonna take the ownership of your route, but you're gonna pass it on to the people that are under you. You're gonna be like, hey, I noticed so and so hasn't been to outreach. I'm gonna follow up and realize. Also, as the bus director, it is hard for me to catch who's been there, who's not. I don't know. Like, hey, like maybe it's slipping under me where I didn't realize. Hey, I'm gonna say magenta route because I don't want anyone to feel offended. So magenta route, like. I noticed you guys haven't been on outreach for the last 5 weeks, and be like, well, it's just, I may not realize that route is struggling. It's like, well, it's just me. No one else is coming. They're like, hey, I need you to take the ownership of that being effective. So you guys get what I'm saying? I'm trying to say, I try to train effective leaders to build that because I can't run every single one of them. But if I could make good 2 or really solid people per route, they could develop the rest of their team into what they need them to be and what they need help with. And one thing is, I am not a micromanager. I do not micromanage my teams, okay? I do not tell them how to do outreach. I do not tell them what to do. I do try to give advice if they're lacking somewhere, but I try to leave it up to them for until there needs to be some type of course correction if needed. I won't micromanage my teams because I want them to do it their own. If there's a book I could recommend for leaders, maybe you could have your leaders per route read it too. That's Extreme Ownership by Jocko. That's a really good book. You could have your teams read it. You could get together. It's not spiritual at all, okay? So it's just about leadership. But you guys could get your teams together, talk about it, and begin to develop great, great leaders. So enough about that. Now, so as you develop a team, you also want to develop your ministry as a whole. So one of the things that I really love is discipleship. This is when you're going to need to find Bible study teachers maybe in your congregation if you don't have anyone that's really strong. Like we have a lot of young people, 12, 13 years old. That's where they start doing bus ministry. They may not be super confident in wanting to teach a Bible study yet. They want to, the desire's there, but they need to learn. So that's when I may get an adult or someone like, hey, would you mind helping me with this Bible study? We have a ton of people that are willing to do that, but they may not be available for bus ministry consistently. So I want to disciple these kids because the goal is to get this kid that has started coming. He has shown the interest. He's starting to grow and develop and have a love for God, and I want to make sure that we begin to disciple him. So we want to see these souls saved. We need to be teaching them Bible studies, helping them fall in love with God, helping them fall in love with the Word and prayer. If we could teach them the gospel, we could teach them the message, faithfulness, prayer, the word, there's no telling what God could do with those kids at that point. But we are going to have to do the work. We're going to need to disciple because we're trying to take to the next level. We're not just like, oh, we had these kids for 6 years and then they were gone. We had these kids for 2 years and then they were gone. No, we want kids, and it's going to take work. It's going to take discipleship. It's going to take a lot of paying attention, faithfulness, prayer. You're going to have to try to catch these little cues. And I'm going to be honest, you're going to have some kids who ride your bus just because they were there for the pizza. And that's okay. Like, bring them. There's someone like, oh, no, we shouldn't pick up kids. All he wants is the pizza. Who cares? He's here. Bring him. That's all that matters. And then I want to see, I would love to see this. It hasn't happened yet, but I believe it can. I want to see the kids that are riding our buses. I want to see like Rialto, like when we go to a Bible quizzing tournament, be like Rialto 3 is nothing but our bus kids. You're like, how cool would that be? Like, these are our bus kids. Or I should have said Rialto 1, right? But anyway, my point is just to have a team of Bible quizzers, to have them in the choir. I want them to come to the youth trips, junior camp, special services. I started coming to church when I was 8 years old. My family and all my brothers, I have 3 brothers. My parents, they've all backslidden. And so I wasn't a bus kid, but there was a point in my life where someone had to take me under their wing, pick me up for services, help me get a ride. I needed someone to do this, keep me involved. And I want to say, like, the services are great. Sunday school was great. But my memories and what made me want to come back was the cool youth trip I just went to. What made me want to come back was junior camp that I just spent a week with my friends. What also made going to special services. I want the kids to know, like, hey, like, we have a youth service coming up in Chula Vista. I want you to come with us. You're invited. And be like, and if there's a worry about clothes or anything else, we'll take care of their clothes. We want them to feel comfortable while they do it. Bible quizzing kept me too, okay? And I know it's like, it did for me. Studying God's words consistently, going on all these trips, being involved, it helps. And so we want our kids to stay and not, if they're just riding a bus for a few moments every single Saturday, sit in our classrooms for an hour, and then they go back home, like, come on, like, that's not gonna make them stick. Like, taking them to these special events is what's really gonna help. Bringing them Sunday night to service. You're going to find a talent in these kids and be like, man, you can sing. Have you ever thought about singing before? Or, hey, I noticed you got some beat. Do you play the drums? No, I would love to learn, though. There you go. Find someone. Find a common interest. Because we're not just trying to have these kids that ride our buses for a little bit, and then they disappear and we never find them again. We are wanting them to come and go to the next level. But it's going to take getting them involved, and that is a lot of work. That means picking them up, bringing them to the practices, getting them involved. If it's Bible quizzing, whatever it may be, it's out of your normal schedule, and you're going to have to work a little bit harder, but we want to see it. With taking ministry to the next level, and this is something we're getting better at, is we got to promote your ministry with shirts, through social media, and then our pastor, he's a huge component for bus ministry and Sunday school, so he preaches about it. I don't want, because there's some people that come to our church, they don't know what those buses even do over there. They show up Sunday morning, and because we're here early. We get here Sunday morning at 7:30, starting all the buses. We pull them up. We leave here like around 8:15. Some people don't come here until 9:30, because church starts at 10. They don't even see the buses. They don't know what's going on down there. They just come to this church. They sit here, and then they leave. Never even know what's going on. So we want people to know what these buses are doing. We want to know what bus ministry is. And we want the church to know just how much effort that these bus workers put every single day. So that's why we started. We have a social media page. We've ordered new shirts. I said this in the last session, so I'm going to repeat myself, but the shirts, we just changed ours. We had these bright orange shirts for a long time, and when I met with the captains again, there's a new generation, younger people, they said, we do not like the orange. We don't want to wear it. And it's fine. At the time, everyone loved it. That was 1999. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like before, it was a long time ago, and everyone loved it. But then the orange shirts, they just didn't enjoy it no more, so we made a change. We got a different brand. We got better shirts, better design on it, or different design. I shouldn't say better because that sounds offensive. We got a different design, and the team put it together. They really enjoyed it. They voted on it. They love it. It's really cool. So, but stuff like that, just whatever you got to do to promote yourself. And then when your bus ministry, it does promote and begins a soul-winning culture in your church. As your bus ministry begins to grow, it begins to take it to the next level. You start seeing, your kids involved in the kids choir, whatever it may be, youth choir. They're playing instruments. They're singing. They're involved in Bible quizzing. That's when the church will begin to recognize them. They'll begin to see, like, hey, who is that? I've never seen them before. Who's that? Who did they come with? They're like, hey, he rides our bus, and they started. They're now involved. But bus ministry can start to create a soul-winning mentality in the church. It creates an atmosphere to go and knock doors. It creates an atmosphere to go and pick up souls. It creates people to want to disciple new converts. and it wants people to start teaching Bible studies and to care of the hungry and the hurting. I've had some people say, hey, I can't be as involved in bus ministry, but I would like to support the bus ministry by cooking breakfast in the morning, whatever it may be, because they see how bus ministry works, they see the effort, they see the all the things that the young people are doing, but they just can't be as involved as they want to, so they'll be like, hey, I would love to come and bring a hot meal for our bus workers. It's not for Sunday school, it's for our bus workers in the morning. So when we do our morning meeting at 8 a.m., it's prayer and our meeting, they'll have like burritos or some type of hot meal in the morning for them. So if not, sometimes it is granola bars, but usually our goal is to always have a hot meal for the kids in the morning. So, but to really begin to make our bus ministry go to the next level is I believe this. It is always born on the knees of prayer and fasting. You gotta let the Holy Ghost lead you guys. It really is a Holy Ghost led ministry. You gotta let it guide you. We need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. We need to develop patience and love as we work for the kingdom. It's a ton of effort. I'm telling you, when you start seeing these kids or the adults start to get it, and they start to understand that this is my church. This is where I belong, and these are my people. It begins to change. It begins to change you as a soul winner. Speaking of just creating a soul winning culture, a few years ago, so bus ministry's been here for a long time. I started coming here in 1998, and there was already buses rolling at that point. They wasn't as big, but I've seen pictures where this was just all like a dirt field. My buddy's dad must have been, I don't know if my buddy's even born, so we're talking over 34, 35, maybe even 40 years ago, the buses were rolling here, And I saw this old picture, and I wish I didn't know we were going to have the projectors available. I wish I would have gotten some of these pictures and put them up just from the old days. So this has been around for a very long time. But a newer ministry that kind of has sparked out of the church was the rehab facilities. And I'm not here to talk about rehab facilities, but my point is just that they became where these people from these drug rehabs, these transitional homes, they started to see, the church started to see these people come in, and they were getting baptized, they were receiving the Holy Ghost. They flood this area of the church. A lot of them come, they sit over there, and they started noticing. We got one guy who comes, he's like 6'9", so everyone's like, who's that guy? It's always from the rehab facility, and they just started coming. And they started bleeding. Well, the church started realizing, like, oh man, it's effective going to these homes. And so people who I didn't know would be interested in it started coming out of the woodworks, and they started saying, hey, I want to be involved with this ministry. I want to go and help teach the Bible studies. I want to help pick them up and give rides. If we did that same approach with bus ministry, where we're picking up these kids and we're not like, well, I don't want to bother the church, so keep them over here. I don't want to bother so and so, or man, it's gonna make the church feel really uncomfortable if I bring 7 kids to a Sunday night service. And yes, they're not gonna turn into angels just because you brought them to a Sunday night service. It's gonna take some work. Hey, sit down. You all don't need to go to the bathroom. Hey, we're running the aisles because we're praising Him. Okay, this is not a race, but there's actually some reason why we're doing this. But we can't hide our ministry. We can't be like, oh, well, we're having, you guys get what I'm saying? Okay? We have to bring it to the front of the church, because then when the church begins to see the effectiveness of it, what you're doing, they're going to want to be involved. They're going to want to learn. Yes, they may not connect with the child, but be like, hey, we're having a special service. It's a Friday. It's a family day. It's a Sunday where there's 5 Sundays. In 1 month, we do a special event called Family Day. We bring the kids, but we encourage the mom and the dad to come on those special ones, because they're like, hey, we have a special speaker, and then we have food and fellowship afterwards, and it's all free. We're like, we have jumpers, we have all kinds of things going on. So we try to promote them to come to these special services, and that's when the church will begin to see, I want to connect with their mom and their dad. I want to see, I met, whoever, and it's just bringing them to the front, bringing this ministry to the front of the church. So, do you guys have any questions right now? I feel like I'm just pouring as much as I can into you guys. Any questions? Any thoughts? Yes. So a funny story about that. We had a kid who was he came on a Sunday night, and he was jumping around all around here, just jumping on the platform, jumping back down. And Brother Philip was like, I'm about to rip that kid's head off if he don't stop right now. Okay, he was like, he told me this afterwards. He was like, why is he doing that? Someone make him stop. So I just grabbed him and said, hey buddy, come here and stand by me. I'm all just stay here and pray. Okay, just stay here. So I took that accountability. I'm like, I'm going to stay here with him. And I just put my hand on his back, and he starts praying, and I noticed he really started to pray. He's just like, and so that was, he started to really pray. And at that point, what came as initial was just going to be like a discipline thing, like you stand here, you don't move, we're going to pray, stop moving. If you move again, you're going home. So he started to pray, and God began to work on him, and he started crying. Then and then he got filled with the Holy Ghost. But those cues that I'm looking for is as a kid, because we want them to start developing to pray, right? And if they just stand there and they're not just jumping on the platform and things like that, I'm okay with that. Like, just stand here, because it's the same thing with my kiddos. Like, I have little ones. Hey, you're going to come up here and just pray. Just stand here. Even if you're not, sometimes it's just baby steps. You're looking at these little things. But when I was exactly talking about those cues, is that as they're praying, you're going to watch as their demeanor begins to change. You're looking for maybe, where, and you may encourage them to say certain things. And one of the things I like to always encourage is say, Jesus, I love you. And then when they start saying, Jesus, I love you, I'm telling you, who knows the last time they told anyone that they love them. And they're telling now Jesus that they love them. And we know biblically that when this child begins to step towards God, or anyone begins to step towards God, he's taking bigger steps towards him. So as this child begins to say, Jesus, I love you, best believe in the spirit, supernatural, God's running towards that child. And he's going to start feeling the love of God. And I'm looking for it. Now this gets me, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. It's like, I'm not expecting a moment like that. But when this kid's like really focused, and then the cues of now the stammering, Jesus, I love, that word got hard, and I'm gonna capitalize on that moment. That, hey, did you feel that? And they may say yes, or they may say no. That's all right, But if they say yes, but that was the Holy Ghost that you're trying to feel. Especially if they've already had a Bible study and things like that before, you can start prompting them on what they're feeling. Or you may need to spend a little bit more time explaining what they're feeling in the altar, telling them, like, hey, this is what you're feeling. But those are the cues, the little stammering, the tears, the crying. One line I forgot to say yesterday, so you guys, is that when the tears are present, when the water has broke, birth is imminent. God is moving on that kid. Okay, that was one line I forgot to say. I walked down. I was like, why did I forget to say that? Anyway, when the water has broke, birth is imminent. So I'm telling you, when you start seeing tears begin to come, God, that kid is being touched. They're going to get the Holy Ghost. The stammering, sometimes like the burrow of the eyebrows. Sometimes they start doing this thing, right? They start swaying. It ain't the beat. They're feeling God, or the little things. These kids aren't raised in church. They don't know, like when you start feeling God, you start shaking your hand, right? My when she was little, she probably knew that. You start, this is what Daddy does, so but just things like that. Those are the cues I'm looking for. But you're just watching, especially the stuttering and the stammering lips. That's biblical right there, right? Any other questions? Because I only got 1 minute left. That's it. Then I'm going to say, bye. I'm just kidding. No, honestly, thank you guys for spending time in here. I know it's so hard to put. There's such good, a lot of stuff I can put in. I only got 30 minutes. So this is something when it comes to expanding your ministry. The key points are, put it in front of the church. Get the church prayers behind you. Get your pastor support behind you. Bring your kids in to your sanctuary. Don't just tuck them away into the Sunday school classrooms. Get your kids involved, and it's not going to be every single one of them, and that's just the point. That's just a cold hard truth. Not every single kid is going to want to be involved. That's okay, but find those that want to and capitalize on it. Teach them Bible studies, disciple them, get them involved, whether it's music, singing, youth choir, youth trips, Bible quizzing, whatever it may be. Just that is what's going to really tie them in and help your ministry begin to grow and go to the next level. Thank you, guys.